Hello everyone. How you guys doing? Um, I just want to give you guys an update. As you can see, my neck is pretty bad right now. And which has been happening the last few weeks. And so yeah, so I want to give you guys an update on how everything's going. Um, my I don't know where to start with this. A lot has been happening, and well, I guess first thing first with neurofeedback, I noticed that. So I think last time I told you guys that I kind of amped up the amount of time I was doing neurofeedback, and I was literally doing that I would say every day I was doing one eyes open session and one eyes closed session, and I noticed that I was getting really, really exhausted. I mean, by like afternoon time, I was just like dying. I have to take a nap. I just have to stop doing what I'm doing and just go to sleep by like 7 or 8. So I know that I was overworking my brain, which is something I guess I've been doing my whole life, overworking things. It's just almost like it's just that personality I have of wanting to. There's always more sort of mentality, and it's like I need to get better. I need to do more. I need to do more, and not really respecting my body and not giving it the rest that it needs. So it sounds really stupid because it's really hard to convince myself to actually slow down the pace. One reason is because obviously I'm, in a way desperate to get better because, it's painful what I'm doing, what I'm going through, and it's exhausting, So, but I had to convince myself that this is going to be something that's going to be a journey. It's not like deep down I know I needed a rest, but logically I didn't want to give myself that rest. I just keep saying that no, I can do it. I can do it. I need to do this so I can get better. Which is something I had to learn just to pace myself. So I actually slowed it down. So every other day I would do only one session. So I would do 2 sessions a day, 1 session a day, 2 sessions a day, 1 session a day, sort of thing. And that's been working out pretty well actually. So fingers crossed. Another thing I've been learning through this process is that, and also through like design, the it just that because I guess I was always in the mentality of things will not change. I know it sounds very unrealistic that things will never change. Like I understand we're gonna grow old, we're gonna blah blah blah, but there's things that it's kind of the same concept where we meet a friend, and maybe years down the line, you stop talking to that friend because you say, oh, well, they changed. But the thing is, of course they're going to change. We can't hold the same expectation of how they were 10 years ago when we met them and 10 years later and expecting them not to change. It would be weird if they don't change. But yeah, it's such an easy concept, but it's hard to grasp on, because I have the tendency to work out a routine and this routine is going to work. It's worked once, it's got to work again. And not wanting to be flexible and make adjustments to it. And knowing that a lot of good things comes from fine tuning, making a little adjustments. Like not, I guess come to the bottom line, it's not respecting the process of things. I just want to get there. I want the results. I don't want to go through, the little things that's going to make you get there. So, yeah, and sorry, I don't know if I sound very stuttery and choppy. It's my dystonia. And so, yeah, so that's neurofeedback. As far as dystonia, as you can see, my neck has been kind of just tremoring, shaking all over the place. You see me doing this a lot because this is like a sensory trick. So here's the thing. I know in the past videos my neck never turned like this, and it seems like I'm actually doing worse. But I personally don't think I am, and I hope this is the case, is that because I can't hold my neck. It's just that, like, if I don't want a trimmer, I can do it. It's just very, very exhausting, first of all. And it gives me a lot of tension in my neck and my head, and that's where all this tension come from in the past. Except that I was so tense in the past that even though I know it was painful, I couldn't physically relax. I couldn't even get to that mentality where I could relax. Now that I'm much, much more relaxed, with doing neurofeedback, all these problems start to come out because I'm actually able to relax my neck now. And when I relax, this is what happens. It wants to rock all over the place. And sometimes it gets really bad. It will get stuck on one side. But the sensory trick is, because pretty much what's happening is my mind doesn't know where my head is. It thinks that it's in the middle when I'm like this. So sometimes giving the sensory trick of just kind of touching the opposite side, letting it know, hey, you're going too far. Your mind is like, oh, and it adjusts the head position. So I've been using this a lot because sometimes it gets really turned, and especially when I'm doing stuff, or looking at people is a big problem. I can't see them. And I have to tell them, like, hey, I'm sorry, I can't look at you, and they're like, oh, that's fine. But it's still awkward because they're talking. I know they're looking at me, and I can't look at them. It's frustrating. I hate it. But, you got to deal with it. It is what it is. Take it as it is, I guess. But people has been more than understanding, if anything. And that's another thing. Since my neck's been, neck is not the only problem. Since things start to relax, I started to really notice the problems I've been having that I was just ignorant to before because I was putting so much tension on everything. My wrist, I'm trying to, I don't know if I can show you guys, but see, I'm trying to rotate it, but actually I can't because it's just jerking, it's tremoring. But I could use, I'm a functional, I guess, like a functional disability, I don't know, something. Like I can tense it up and use it. I know it's not good for me, right? Because obviously you can't, because I'm using the wrong muscles doing the task that, that's why it's hard. I'm like, a lot of things are hurting because I'm not supposed to use that muscle group to do whatever I was doing. But sometimes you need to get things done in life, I need to draw, I need to, I don't know, do whatever I need to do. I need to shower, I need to brush my teeth. So I can't completely just be like just, I don't know what this means, but like, just laid out and relax and like, I can't do anything. So I think finding the balance of when to have to just, kind of tense things up, even though I know it might not be good for me in the long run, and when to just to get stuff done, or when to start relaxing and training, the proper body parts and doing the right things, right ways of doing things. I don't know if this makes any sense to you guys. But yeah, so a lot of things been popping up, and because my head has been turning so much, I really, really had to kind of appreciate this concept of showing your biggest vulnerability is actually, it makes you the strongest. I think there's a better way of saying it, but this is pretty much what it means. I hated showing this side of me to anyone, because it makes me vulnerable. It's a shame, and shame is something that's internal. It's something that I feel shameful of. It's something that I feel like it makes me less of a person or imperfect, and nobody wants to show that side of them to anyone. But, I kind of realized that all this time I'm pretending to be normal. My head is not doing this, or my this is not doing this. That the fact is I'm not normal right now. Like, I obviously have a disability, but I'm trying everything I can to pretend, to put up this front that I am. And, you know, I guess being able to walk around and not be ashamed of who you are really is true strength. I mean, I'm still working on it, but I know I have been grasping onto it a lot better than before. There's still moments, 50% of the time I'm able to just say, fuck it, everyone look at me, whatever. And I truly felt that strength, like from within, that, hey, I'm showing you guys the most vulnerable part of, like, side of me. And therefore, I actually feel very strong. I feel like, a very strong person internally, that I'm comfortable with myself so much that I'm not scared of showing you what's vulnerable. And then there's other 50% of the time I'm just absolutely ashamed of how I look or what I'm doing and what I'm not able to do. So I still trying to hide it. But, it's a constant tug of war. But I feel like I'm winning this a little bit more than the others. It's a little more of, I'm out here, I'm just doing what I'm doing versus, trying to hide. And with that, some people ask what triggers the spasm. There's a few things. I mean, the most thing that triggers my spasm, actually, which is also why you guys don't see me turning my neck or doing a bunch of tremoring stuff as much as before, is because through all those years of very, very severe anxiety, and PTSD, things like that, my body have learned to live in a dissociated state where I look functional, I look like I'm here, but I'm not really. I'm like looking through the world. I'm looking at the world through like a glass. Everything's blurry. I don't feel like I'm present. I don't feel like I'm physically there. I don't know if that make any sense, but the scientific name of it is DPDR, depersonalization. Oh my god, sorry, and derealization. And yeah, you can look it up on YouTube. There's plenty of people that has this anxiety, has suffered through that, and my body have put me in that state, and I haven't got out of it for like years, 3, 4, 5 years, I think. And when I'm in that state, I feel pretty calm, in a way. It's because you don't feel anything. You're just like, your body is trying to protect you. You're, trying to take you out of all those sensories that the world gives you, things around you gives you. So I feel calm, not calm, but I feel numbed. Oh, actually, that's the word, numb. I feel numbed. Therefore, my tremors and things are less also. As, I'm doing a lot more neurofeedback. I'm still not always present, but that present moment has been a lot more. I can physically switch on and off now. Like if I'm not, because before I can't even feel, even if I wanted to. Now it's like I have a button. If I'm just relaxed and not paying attention, I realize I start to drift into that disassociated state. And as soon as I realize it, I can turn it off and go back into like feeling, being present. But as soon as I start to feel, all the sensories rushes into, like rushes to me, my head and everything just start jerking like crazy because it's too much to handle for my mind, for my body. It doesn't know what to do. Or when I'm relaxed, it starts to shake and stuff. Because those are things like I haven't done in a long time. And my body just doesn't know what to do with it. It doesn't know what to do when it's relaxed and start to panic. It doesn't know what to do when I can feel and it start to panic. But I know that this is like a bridge. The fact that I can now relax my neck, even though it's turning and stuff like that, way more than when it's tense. This is an opportunity I can use to exercise, to train myself. Because if I can't even relax it, you know, I could do these motions of training, but it's so tense. I'm not giving my brain the right message. It's not creating the right neural pathway. It's just going to continue down that path of being really tense. I don't know if this makes any sense to you guys, but it's kind of like you have to get worse to get better sort of thing. So that's how I look at it. And what else? Another really interesting, well, actually before I say that, but there's have been moments, very, very brief, you know, once, like yesterday it happened for 5 minutes. And then before that, maybe like 2 weeks ago, it happened again when I was doing neck exercises, where I didn't feel any tension in my neck. It reminded me how it's supposed to feel when I was normal, I guess, being a normal person without dystonia. And it's such a relief. It's just like, oh my God, this feels like the best feeling in the world. You really start to appreciate little tiny things that you never used to before. And yesterday I was walking in the park and I was able to, like I said, feel present and not just being so disassociated. And all these sensories are just hitting me. The trees, the grass, the dogs that was there. It's just so amazing, even though I was over there just jerking my head nonstop. But still, just being able to feel things is something that people take for granted. Not feeling pain, people are taking for granted. You know, there's so much life can offer that we don't realize until we lose it. So, yeah, but, you know, these moments of bliss, I want to say, hopefully will become longer moments and eventually become something that will always be here. And I guess that's what the process is, right? From little seconds to maybe a minute, maybe to 5 minutes, who knows? But anyways, but something interesting I've been doing, it's on the workshop that I talked about with Dr. Farias. He actually talked about a lot of very interesting things that I didn't realize. Like, they talked about people with dystonia kind of have no perception of depth. Things become 2D instead of 3D, or the same looping thoughts going over and over in people's head, or, you know, a person wakes up one day and feel like they're a giant, their sizing perception is way off, just things like that, or just suddenly forgetting. Like the other day, I could not remember where I parked. That chunk of memory just like wiped out, and I sat there for 10 minutes and I could not recall that memory. But luckily, I had told my friend prior, we were talking about it, where I was parking. So I had to call him and I say, hey, do you remember when I told you, like, I parked? Where did I say I parked at? And he had to tell me. Otherwise, I would have never found my car because that memory was, like, erased. And I remember I had so much trouble using, like, 3D rendering softwares. And I thought I just sucked at it. But reality is, I was having so much issue with just light, shadow, 3D concepts, sizing, sizeless, things like that. And things are starting to get a little better, as, like I said, with neurofeedback, and as I'm starting to get slightly better, I notice some difference. When I'm shading and drawing, I can see a lot more now, because before, like, I can't, my mind just doesn't understand it. Now I can see, like, oh, wow, okay. So, yeah, so these things kind of made me feel better, you know, that I'm not the only one having this issue. I guess another thing is, forgetting my train of thoughts. I also, oh yeah, so one really interesting thing that Dr. Farias talked about that was people triggers our spasms. So he suggested to have, just to do a desensitization, desensitization. I'm pretty big tongue because I have spasm in my tongue. So, and sorry, my dogs are like playing in the background, so it's really loud. But so pretty much what he said is, have someone sit across from you, look at their forehead for 3 minutes, their eyebrow for 3, cheek, and the eyes, and then mouth in that order, 3 minutes each. And he brought up a really interesting, concept. I always was scared to look into people's eyes because that triggered me a lot. First of all, in Asian culture, you just don't do much eye connection, like, contacts, which I have learned to do once I came to the US. But because of dystonia and anxiety, looking into people's eyes really triggers me. And I just get super tense. My spasms and everything just kicks up. But I didn't know that the mouth, according to him, was that it's something that's instilled in us as a primate. It's a primal instinct. Because back in the days, the mouth is what bites. The mouth is what can really hurt us. So we have this idea in our head that the mouth can really hurt us. And even nowadays, the mouth can say words that will hurt us. And so this is how they explained it. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. The eyes and the mouth, is something that really triggers us. So I asked my dad to do this with me. First of all, me and my dad has a really interesting relationship. Me and my parents in general. So, as I'm doing it, of course, I only done it twice so far. And each time afterwards, I was so tense, I can't do anything. I can't even move. I'm just going straight to bed because I need to lay down. But as uncomfortable as I was and scared to look into his eyes, I can tell he was just as uncomfortable as he couldn't look at me. And the whole time, the 2 times, first time he was just looking at TV. The second time he was on his phone. And just for a split second, he looks into my eyes when I'm looking at him. Right away, he turns it away because that scares him. I don't know. I just find that really interesting. I know it's a cultural thing, but it also shows how much work everyone needs, or I don't know. Sometimes I look at my dad and I'm just like, neurofeedback could really benefit you. You don't know how much anxiety you have. I could see it, but he just, dismisses it as a bad temper or, whatever. This is what a lot of people do nowadays. I think they just dismiss it or blame it on something else when it's something that could be worked on. I'm actually going to ask him today when we do the exercise, like, hey, you can't watch TV. You can't be distracted. You have to look at me. I want to see what he says. I don't know. But other than that, I'm doing a lot other weird exercises, like facial exercises, since my face is actually, facial muscles very paralyzed. I don't know if I told you guys how I got diagnosed is when I told the doctor, because first of all, people couldn't figure out what is wrong with me. The doctor's like, okay, you have a tic disorder, blah, blah, blah. Not until I told him that I couldn't smile. And he's like, oh, show me. That's when we realized. He's like, okay, that's a dystonic muscle movement. And this is how the whole dystonia thing came up. So if I try to smile, see how the muscle is pulling? Or if I try to hold my muscle still. Things are just shaking all over the place. So I had to do a lot of, for example, one really dumb one is doing this and then just trying to hold a smile for 15 seconds. And it's really difficult, actually. Or because the lips and stuff are paralyzed typically with dystonia, you have to do, for example, that. which I could not do in the beginning. It took me a lot of practice to get here. So just very dumb things. Or because our jaws are very locked because we're clenching it. One of the things is to just drop your jaw. Kind of let it like relax. You have to hold that for 15 minutes. And in the beginning, my jaw was just wanting to go left and right, shifting like crazy. So it's a lot of really weird things that I guess if you're not going through it, you probably wouldn't understand. And I feel weird doing these things in public, obviously. So, I practice in the privacy of my home because other people, if they don't know what's going on, they look at me, they're just like, what is this lady doing? But I think I'm on the right track. And if you have dystonia and you're watching this, I highly recommend, like I said, check out my previous videos. I have the website posted of Dr. Farias. Check it out. If you have any questions, let me know. Yeah, I'm gonna go on and live. That sounds really weird, but I gotta do homework and stuff. So that's what I meant to say. Go out there, challenge the world, and hope you guys, live to the fullest. And I'll see you next time.